Have you ever tried so hard to explain your decisions to someone, and even after all your words, they still looked at you with the same cold eyes of judgment? Have you ever felt completely exhausted from always defending yourself, always saying sorry, always trying to find the right words to make people agree with you and accept you? Have you ever given so many explanations to so many people that somewhere along the way, you forgot why you made the decision in the first place? If yes, then this story is for you. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by green fields, tall trees, and the sound of a gentle river, there lived a man named Ethan, a kind and hardworking farmer who loved his neighbors deeply and wanted nothing more than to live in peace with the people around him. Ethan was a good man in every way. He worked long hours on his farm. He helped people when they needed him, and he always showed up with a warm smile and an open heart. But despite all of this, Ethan carried a quiet and painful problem that followed him everywhere he went. Every single time Ethan made a decision, even the smallest and most personal one, he felt a powerful and uncomfortable need to explain himself to everyone around him, as if his choices were always on trial, and he was always the one standing in the courtroom, defending his own life, if he decided to rest on a Tuesday afternoon instead of working. He would walk all the way to his neighbor's house just to say, "I rested today because I worked very hard on Monday and my body was exhausted. You understand, right?" And he would not feel calm until the neighbor nodded in agreement. If he chose not to attend a village meeting, he would visit 3 or 4 different people before the end of the day to explain his reason, making sure everyone knew about his headache, how strong it was, and how much he truly wanted to attend, but simply could not. If he bought a new pair of shoes, he made sure to tell people that the old ones had holes in them, and if he left a conversation early, he would come back an hour later just to explain why he had to go. Because the silence of unexplained actions felt unbearable to him, he explained and explained and explained, pouring his words into every crack of judgment he imagined around him, hoping that enough explanation would finally bring him the acceptance and peace he was searching for. Some people listened politely, some nodded without really caring, but most of them slowly stopped paying attention to his reasons, and the unkind ones, the ones who enjoy finding weakness in others, started using his own explanations as weapons against him. Did you hear what Ethan said? They would whisper to each other behind closed doors. He said he was tired. Maybe he is lazy. Maybe his farm is slowly failing, and he does not want anyone to know. And with every explanation Ethan gave, the rumors only grew bigger and more unkind. But still, Ethan kept explaining, because deep inside his heart, he truly believed that if people just understood him completely, they would finally stop judging him. And he believed that the right combination of words could protect him from the pain of being misunderstood. He was wrong, and somewhere inside, he already knew it. One cold and gray autumn morning, Ethan woke up and sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the floor with heavy eyes and a heart that felt like it was made of stone. Not from illness or physical pain, but from a deep and bone-tired exhaustion that no amount of sleep could fix. He sat there in the silence of his room and thought about the past weeks, counting in his mind how many times he had explained himself, how many doors he had knocked on, how many conversations he had started just to defend a choice that was his alone to make. And the number was so large it made him feel sick. Had any of it helped? He wondered. Did people trust him more now? Did they judge him less? Did all those careful and desperate explanations actually build the peace he was looking for? And when he searched his heart honestly for the answer, tears began to roll quietly down his cheeks. I am always talking, he whispered to the empty room, but no one is really listening. And I am the only one who is suffering because of it. That same morning, he walked slowly through the village to the old stone bridge at its edge, where the river moved quietly below and the air smelled of wet leaves and cool earth. And there he found old Solomon sitting alone on a wooden bench, watching the water with calm and patient eyes. Solomon was not a man of many words, but the words he did speak had a way of staying with people for years, settling into their hearts like seeds that grow slowly but bloom beautifully. And Ethan sat beside him and began to speak, pouring out everything he had been feeling for so long. He told Solomon about the exhaustion, about the endless explaining, about the judgment that never seemed to stop no matter how many reasons he gave. And Solomon listened to every word without interrupting, without nodding too quickly, without offering cheap and easy comfort. He simply listened the way only truly wise people know how to listen. When Ethan finally finished and the silence returned, Solomon reached down and picked up a small gray stone from the ground, held it in his open palm, and turned to Ethan with quiet eyes. "This stone does not explain itself to anyone," Solomon said in a slow and thoughtful voice. "It does not say I am heavy because I came from a mountain far away. It does not apologize for being gray. It does not ask for your permission to exist here in my hand. It simply is what it is, and because of that, no one questions it." Ethan looked at the stone in Solomon's hand, feeling something shift quietly inside him, like a door that had been locked for a very long time was beginning, just slightly, to open. "A river does not apologize for the direction it flows," Solomon continued, his voice calm and unhurried. "A tree does not explain why it grows toward the light instead of away from it. They simply exist and move and grow according to their own nature. And the world respects them not for their words, but for what they are and what they do." Solomon placed the stone gently into Ethan's hand and looked at him with kind and serious eyes. "When you explain yourself to everyone, Ethan, you are telling the world that you need their permission to live your own life. But you are not on trial here. You never were. You are simply a man walking his own path. And that path does not require anyone's approval to be real or right." Ethan closed his fingers around the stone and walked home slowly that day, feeling those words move through him like warm water, reaching places inside him that years of explanations had never been able to touch. That week, he made a quiet and private decision to stop explaining himself. And the first time, he said no to a neighbor's request without offering a single reason. His heart beat fast, and his hands felt cold, and he waited for the anger, for the confusion, for the judgment to come crashing down on him. But the neighbor simply nodded and walked away, and nothing happened. The sky did not fall, the village did not turn against him, and the silence that followed was not cold or uncomfortable. It was simply quiet, and quiet was something Ethan had not felt in a very long time. Week after week, he practiced this new way of being, leaving gatherings without explaining, making choices without announcing them to the world, saying no without building a case for why. And slowly, like the turning of a season, something inside him became lighter and stronger at the same time. And something beautiful and unexpected happened around him as well, because the people of the village began to look at him differently, not with more judgment as he had always feared, but with more respect. drawn to the quiet confidence that had replaced his old nervous and apologetic energy. He was the same Ethan, same farm, same village, same life, but he was no longer afraid of what people thought, and because that fear was gone. The opinions of others simply lost the power they had once held over him. So, my friend, if you see yourself in Ethan's story, if you have spent days and nights explaining your choices, defending your decisions, and searching for approval in the eyes of people who may never truly understand you, then carry this truth with you from today. You do not owe the world an explanation for the life you are choosing to live. Not everyone will understand your path, and that is not a problem to be solved with more words. Because your path was never made for everyone to understand. It was made for you to walk with courage and with peace. Silence is not weakness, and choosing not to explain yourself is not arrogance or rudeness. Sometimes it is simply the most powerful and most honest thing you can do. It is the quiet message to the world that says, I know who I am, and I do not need you to confirm it. Be like the stone. Be like the river. Simply be. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Tales with English, where every story helps you learn English and learn life.